Hey everybody, this is Kodak here, and yeah, it's another episode of this, another episode where I talk about Bakugan, although that's because last weekend they had a special event over in California, which I was not invited to, again, that involved the reveal of the second year of Bakugan toys. In this case, it's called collectively Armored Alliances, and that is a new set that involves a whole new slew of toys and some new card game gimmicks and stuff that I'm going to talk about today. Now, of course, the big talk of the town is the new things called Baku Gear, not Battle Gear, although it's very, very similar to Battle Gear. I'm seeing in the packages here, it looks like it's sort of a combination of the classic Battle Gear and the Baku Nano. So just to explain, this is a Battle Gear. This is Vilantor, the most famous Battle Gear that I own. This is actually the one from that very, very, very old video that got me started. The very same, complete with a little smudge of paint missing on the bronze there. But what Battle Gear was it was basically an item that you could plunk down in the middle of battle. You could either put it on the field, on the gate card that people are fighting on, or you can actually attach it to the back of the Gandalian Invaders Bakugan. And what they do is they give you a small boost to G-Power, a small boost. Like this one, 90 was, back in the day, at the start of these things, 90 was considered really high, and that's what Vilantor here provided. It was usually some number between 50 and... it got as high as 120. It got even higher once it got really late into the game, and they also included like power level statistics and stuff. But these things were kind of neat. They had they were a small bump to B power, roughly on par with what you could get from an ability card, so not like terribly overpowered. And sometimes, depending on whether they match the proper gate card color or they have a special ability that matches the color of the Bakugan you are using, you can get an additional special effect when they're put out into play. The Baku Gear, in particular, in this case, seems to be similar to like an equip spell card or an aura card. I had somebody call it a Pokemon tool card. I don't know if that means you can only have one on them per Bakugan, but what they do is they are kind of a new dimension of the card game that we actually haven't seen yet, and that is cards that modify individual Bakugan outside of evolution, and that's going to be really interesting to see, although they do a lot for the cost that they have. I'm not sure if they're permanent upgrades or if they're one-time use. Apparently the cards come with the Battle Gear toys, which I'll talk about the toy selection in a minute here, but the cards shuffle into your deck and you won't actually need the Baku Gear toys in order to play. The Baku Gear toys look like they are a combination of this, which is the Battle Gear, nice and easy to use. You just plunk it down and you're ready to go. And what were called Baku Nano. The Baku Nano actually kind of, you had to like attach them like onto special pegs on the old Bakugan. They were a big pain in the butt. They were part of the problem of Mectanium Surge with all the crazy gimmicks that they had. Like I said, Battle Gear had that nice simplicity to it. Anyway, first of all, speaking of the card game, they have actually decided to create another branch. They've decided to kind of double down on the problem I pointed out in my Dragonoid Maximus review. And now anything revolving around the card game now has the title Bakugan Pro. They're taking the name I came up with when I came up with an idea called the Pro case, which actually will come up a bit later in this video. But the card game is now referred to as Bakugan Pro products. I'm not sure how many other products aside from the card game are considered Bakugan Pro. You could say that this is the stuff that originally had like actually no, a lot of things had the Battle Brawler name on them when they started, now that I think about it. But it's the card, it's the booster packs, it's the starter decks, it's the triple packs, which actually got a neat upgrade, which I'm also going to talk about. But they're called Bakugan Pro now. We'll have to see how that works. I've tried talking to my local game stores about carrying the game, but all of them have so far rejected it. One even rejected it violently so, because they said, oh, the last time I carried Bakugan here, it didn't move, and I run a game store, so I need all the space I can get. So it'll be interesting to see if something works out about that. Anyway, on to some of the exciting new products. One of the things they showed off was something that you guys might have noticed is that in the recent months, a lot of stores haven't had any of the carrying cases in stock, and that is because they went back to the drawing board. My criticism, along with other people's, stuck, and what they did was they made a version of the case that can now hold sleeved cards. So little congratulations for what they should have done all along, but they actually took it a step further. A while ago, I suggested something called a Pro case, which would be like a small pocket-sized carrying case, which carries just the deck, the cores, and the Bakugan needed for one player. It was a little idea I had, but what they kind of did with this is they actually came up with an interesting compromise. What they did was they made a carrying case that basically has the same price point and all of that as the old case. However, it's like two of my Pro case ideas smashed together. It has 2 spaces for cards, each of which is large enough to hold a sleeved deck. It has 2 slots for Baku cores, and it has, after you fill all of those, it has 12 additional slots for Bakugan. At least that's what I remember counting. It has a little pocket of 4 on the bottom and a little set of 2 on the top. So it can carry a lot. It can carry like, it looks like it might be able to carry up to 18 Bakugan if you're not stashing anything in there, which is definitely a good thing. But it can also stash like 2 decks worth of cards plus a small stash of trades, or 1 deck of cards and a whole ton of trades. Either way, it is definitely a good thing, and it finally comes in green. Ventus players, you're getting that thing that you've been hoping for this whole time. We have, honestly, I'm excited for these carrying cases. It is a sign that Bakugan is taking the feedback into account. This is definitely something that I think we should all support, these cases. It's what I've been waiting for from these cases. It's what I think a lot of people have been waiting for from these cases. I'm hoping they keep them well stocked. Anyway, moving on. Speaking of the Pro, they actually have they're the triple packs from the old game, the ones that for like $1 more contained a 3 set of booster packs, but also contained a couple of extra cores, which you only really got good cores if you bought the Dragonoid Ultra set, and a big oversized card, which frankly I think a lot of people got tired of after a while. The new ones do the same thing, but they also apparently include a folding deck box. I am assuming it is of the caliber of the kind we find in Pokemon decks. If we're lucky, it'll be the caliber of the kind we find in Magic the Gathering decks, which are larger and can stash the cards with sleeves. I imagine it'll be cardboard, it'll be something chintzy and basic, but card storage was something that Bakugan had a lot of trouble with. I'm still hoping that maybe we'll get something equivalent to like Magic the Gathering's Deck Builder's Toolkit. I mean, it doesn't have to like have tons of cards crammed inside, but it does need to have something like, or like the Bakugan Elite Trainer box, where it could be converted into card storage. I haven't really taken a look at the new starter pack that they have. I remember mentioning in my review of it that it was just millimeters away from being an effective card storage box. It needed to be just a little bit larger. It'll be interesting to see if they do that to the starter set. That would also be a huge improvement. That's something I think I'm going to have to find in person. So the new Bakugan, we do have a lot of new Bakugan designs. All of the recurring characters from Season 1 are coming back from the main characters. All 6 of them are returning, and we're also getting a new character who is unfortunately named after the guy currently in charge of the FCC. He is apparently going to be the Aurelus player. His name is Ajit, and he uses Feral, which a lot of people are really excited for. So we're going to have an Aurelus player added to the mix. So we're going to have 7 main characters now, assuming you include the dog. But the other important characters from the show, we're going to still have Drago and Hydorus and Pegatrix and Trox and Howlcore and Nilius, and all of those are coming back. Interesting thing about the character cards is they don't have new names. They have new toys, which are actually kind of squat and funny looking so that they can carry the Baku gear around, but they have the same name on the card. That tells me that these new characters are compatible with the cards that have already been printed and are basically new character options for those decks. So we have like the new Dragonoid, and the new Dragonoid Ultra can still work with the old Dragonoid and the old Dragonoid Ultra cards, which means that those characters are going to continue to get support. It's kind of what I predicted they would do. I was thinking they were like always going to reprint the regular model so we'd always have that character card, but no. The new characters, kind of like what I was talking about with Hyper Dragonoid, are all getting the same they're getting the same name, so I assume they're treated as the same character. Otherwise, they would have like the Titan Dragonoid card that came with Maximus Dragonoid. They'd have a new name. They'd be called like Armored Dragonoid or Armor Pegatrix, something like that, to tie in with the Armored Alliance thing in order to give them a new set. But they have not done that, so that's good. I hope that means that the cards will work. Although the new card set Armored Elites, I have noticed some small conundrums with. That is that they have produced some cards that have the exact same effect as cards that already exist. Like on this list here, we have two cards that do the exact same things as the cards Super Shot and Shine, which are cards from the first set. Shine's not very good, but Super Shot is very good, although it recently got upstaged by Holy Flame, which is basically Super Shot but better. It kind of makes me worry a bit. I know they said they were not going to be reprinting sets, but it does mean that I was hoping that they would reprint like staple cards so that we as players could always get a hand on them, and even new players could get a hand on them. Why not just use this new card art and just call the card Super Shot? I'm not sure how many people would want to stack like multiple instances of the exact same card. Like I remember in Magic the Gathering for a while, there was basically two versions of Shock out there. There was Shock and a card called Tarfire. However, Tarfire had the added status of being considered a goblin card, so it had some additional interactions that set it apart. If there's like some sort of mechanical effect that set these cards apart from the ones that they are essentially the same as, that might have been a bit better, but I don't know. As it stands, the real thing that worries me is that they're going to try to do set rotation. The game is already struggling. Set rotation is guaranteed fastest way to kill a struggling card game. The only thing that rotation really fixes is when there's just problematic cards that are devouring the metagame. Like, you've got the Power 9, to quote a really, really old example. Set rotation was created specifically to push them out of the metagame, or cards like Siege Rhino, people don't miss that one. But really it's only like getting rid of like really terrible like game concepts or really overblown cards that set rotation benefits from. It does not benefit a game. It's not some cure-all panacea. A lot of people seem to think that. Although, speaking of character cards, something that has been pointed out is that apparently the basic toys contain a character card that does not have any abilities. It has a blank text box, and that has worried a lot of people, and honestly, I can kind of see both sides of the argument. To my understanding, the explanation that I have heard is that the cards with no text printed on them are so that the card so that they can basically make the same product for all regions. So they can make just churn out the same product, and they can send it to America and to Canada and to Europe. I'm sure all of you people in Europe would just love if you guys could get the Bakugan toys the same time as the United States, because they don't have to make anything special with different language versions of the cards. At the same time, it also brings up that problem I brought up before, in that the toy products don't seem to be good at converting people into game players. So I don't know if they're gonna. Apparently, there's going to be another way to get the proper character cards. I don't know if they're gonna like do something like the Bakugan app or something, like have like a little AR feature where you can scan the card to reveal its true power for the game or something. That might be kind of cool. Would be a great way to ship out like errata text and stuff like that. This might also mean that Ultras will lose the pack-in card that normally comes with them, although honestly, I wouldn't consider that a big loss, because I've said in the past that including an extra card in with the Ultras, just one extra card, is kind of pointless unless the card is actually good. So that, and it seems like the pack-in card role is going to be taken over by the Battle Gear packs. So far, though, I've only seen Battle Gear packs that also include a Bakugan. I have not seen them sold separately like the old Battle Gear was. It's sold only in combo packs so far. Another thing that's happening to the 5-pack, it's converting to a 4-pack with some Battle Gear in it. The packaging actually kind of looks like the Japanese packaging. I don't know if I've mentioned that already, but the gray with the character art on the side, Oh boy, that's going to confuse the people at stores even more, because a lot of the people who work the retail, they've kind of figured out that the ones with just the picture of Dragonoid on them are probably the basic ones, while the ones with the picture of the actual character are the Ultras. But now all of the packaging has the picture of the character on it, whether it be Core Bakugan or Ultra Bakugan. The starter packs also now list off all of the Bakugan inside, not just the one that's already open, so there's no more guesswork. That'll be nice. Although the guesswork was part of the fun in the original line, it could be frustrating if you thought you were getting one Bakugan, but you actually got another. So I also have somebody wisely took a picture of the sheet of the new characters, and looking at it, yeah, we have basics and ultras of all of the original characters. Howl Core is getting a core iteration, a regular basic iteration. That's going to be nice. I'm seeing, like I said, it looks a bit more squat than before, particularly the Pegatrixes. The Pegatrix Ultra and the original line, the first line was like this, that had like reared up braying horse. Now they all look kind of, they look a lot more similar to each other now that I look at it. Like I said, they're all kind of squat so that they can carry the battle gear and stuff, but I'm seeing Centipoid and Cycloid again. Those are some names from the original series that some of you might recognize. I see regular Feral. I don't know if there is a Feral Ultra as well. That will be interesting to see. Although, shame, it means that I won't get the Deca original Pegatrix that I was hoping for. But I'm seeing a lot of new designs. Hyderus is getting some new designs to make it look a bit more lion-esque. Somebody said the original one looked like a platypus, and I'm inclined to agree. We also have some like Cyrus, Ramparian, Gillador, Traitorous. His name is literally Traitorous. Gee, I wonder who the bad guy is going to be this season. Batrix. What is it? What does that say? Enoch? Yeah, Enoch. The Holy Hand Grenade of Ent Enoch. Samoga. There's a lot of... and Oscillator. So there's going to be a bunch of interesting new characters. Unfortunately, I think this also means that we're not going to be getting toys of the ones that were left behind in the anime. This includes Tico, who's the main villain. Why did they not make a toy of the main villain? That's kind of pointless. Same with Apollyon. They make these big, awesome characters, but they didn't make toys for them. Artulian, I know, is kind of a weird case because there's prototypes of Artulian, but they never actually finished making them. Honestly, if they keep Artulian into the next season, they're going to have to make some sort of toy of him. And there's still a lot of characters that are still hard to find, characters like Fate Ninja and stuff like that people are having trouble finding. I was actually hoping, kind of looking at this, that they did kind of what they did with Gandalian Invaders, which contained kind of a mix of new and old in the early version, so you could get like the new characters along with some of the old characters, and that's actually how we got our hands on Viper Helios, which is the original version of Helios that they just kind of never printed. They did the same with Mectanium Surge. They took unprinted characters and made them available, and I think people really liked that. I think if they do manage to figure out how to get Artulian rolling, I'm still of the belief that they should try to get it out there. If it's a character that's never been released before, why not? You know? I don't see Hydronoid on this list, but like before, it's mostly going to be the central characters. And like I said, I assume they all work with the new ones. Although, they also have, instead of the collector cards, or instead of the special trading card game cards, they now have basically the equivalent of Metal Gate cards, which are, they call them practice cards. Honestly, to me, they seem more like things that kids can use to open the toys that are less difficult to damage or lose. That's my guess anyway. The Bakugan have the attribute logos again. That's going to be a huge plus. We also have Diamonds returning, and because they have the attribute symbols, we might be able to see some of those special treatments that people really liked before. I know at the preview event, we got pictures of metallized Bakugan and at least one clear Bakugan, and of course, Diamonds are coming back. So if we can get some more Bakugan and some more creative colors, like I was talking about with Pandox, we could have a black and white Pandox instead of one that's white and blue. That would be really cool. Another thing about the trading card games, we are getting dual color cards, dual attribute cards, and they work differently from what you'd expect. To use a dual color card, you must have both attributes in your deck. So if it's a Darkest Pyrus card, you must have a Darkest Bakugan and a Pyrus Bakugan on your team. It's kind of like Magic the Gathering Commander. You know, the Bakugan deck building strategy is kind of a busted up version of Magic the Gathering Commander now that I think about it. Anyway, that's all I can really talk about until we start seeing them in stores. Hopefully we won't have the same problem last time where all the stuff comes out on the West Coast and I'm still stuck on the East Coast. But like with before, I imagine this stuff is slated for January, but knowing how these things can work, we should hopefully get some in time for Christmas. Until next time, this is Kodak signing off.